To the states now, where we know that Trump's picks for his top roles have been causing eye rolls and a lot of angst. But perhaps none are more bizarre than this one. Education Secretary. He's chosen Linda McMahon, who has no education background whatsoever, and perhaps she won't need it because, as we know, Trump has famously promised he's going to get rid of the education department at a federal level and leave it back to the states. What a great idea. If only we did the same thing here. Why do we need a federal educational department as well as each state having an educational department? Riddle me that. Well, Trump's decided he's sick of this nonsense and he's dedicated to cutting the fat in Washington. So he's chosen this woman, Linda McMahon, who hails from, of all places, the World Wrestling Entertainment, where she has been the CEO for some years. If you don't know Linda, here's an intro.
Wait a minute! Linda rose from her chair! Linda rose from her chair!
And he's also chosen Mehmet Oz, who is a household name in the US. He's somewhat of a celebrity. He features on TV every other week in American households. He is, in fact, a heart surgeon, but then turned to TV celebrity, giving out health advice to all and sundry on a weekly basis. Trump said that Oz will, quote, work closely with Robert F. Kennedy Jr. to take on the illness industrial complex and all the horrible chronic diseases left in its wake. A hearty amen from me. If you know, you know, ladies and gentlemen. This guy has come under a lot of scrutiny, with some saying that, oh, well, he's encouraged pseudoscience. Well, I don't know exactly everything he's ever encouraged throughout his long, lengthy and much meddled career, but I do know that he recommended hydroxychloroquine during the pandemic, and in my book, that gets you my vote. Not that I can vote. But this, again, Trump is keeping in line with this I don't give a stuff as to the Washington elite's opinion of my pick. I am going after everyone who has, A, been loyal to me, mainly. There's a few people that he's forgiven. He is magnanimous when he wants to be. But for the most part, he's gone after those who are loyal to him and those he knows who will cut the fat. So what Mehmet will be in charge of is the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services. The US government spent $1.4 trillion on Medicare and Medicaid in the last year alone. In 2023, that is what those departments spent. And Trump's like, I'm getting Dr. Oz Mehmet to just take a chainsaw to this thing. It's going to be so interesting what these guys come up with.
I'm not surprised Trump is unconcerned by the way the media critique his nominees, because you remember how the media critiqued Joe Biden's nominees. I mean, they fawned over them. Rachel Levine was Assistant Health Secretary because she was trans. Pete Buttigieg was Transport Secretary because he was openly gay. Karine Jean-Pierre was the spokesperson at the White House. Historic figure she claimed herself to be because she was black and a lesbian. You had Sam Brinton. Remember Sam Brinton, the drag queen who was in charge of nuclear waste?
Stealing other people's
luggage at the airport. Yeah. You had Deb Haaland, who was in cabinet because she was a Native American. And at the time, now remember, the media are critiquing all of these people, right? Well, you can't have this person as the Education Secretary because she once was involved in World Wrestling Entertainment. Well, NPR, they critiqued the Biden nominees on the basis of diversity, because Biden promised, I'm going to have the most diverse cabinet America's ever seen. And so the NPR ran an article headlined, "Here's how his nominees stack up as a diversity cabinet," and they gave him a glowing report based on melanin and sexual preferences. So that's how they critiqued Biden's nominees. I think Trump is well within his rights to say, I don't care what you say about my nominees. After the way you critiqued Biden's, I'm not listening to you guys.
Well, they could do a score on Trump's on the basis of diversity as well, but instead this time it would be on basis of diversity and thought and experience. That kind of diversity, not when we're talking about race, etc. I mean, it's hard to think of a cabinet that has been more critiqued than this one from Donald Trump. I don't remember it being this heavy the first time round in 2016 when he was elected. But of course, it's because he has just made it very clear this time that he's going to go in and dismantle government waste and bureaucracy. And that's what they're so worried about, that outsiders are being brought to the inside to run the inside like they've run the outside. Because, of course, we've always said for ages, heck, we've got to run household budgets and we've got to run business budgets. Why the hell can't the government do the same? And so you have a businessman in Donald Trump who goes, well, I'm going to go and find a bunch of people who have run business budgets and get them to come and run government departments. And, Linda McMahon, coming from the WWE, she's going to have to wrestle with a lot of bureaucrats in this job, so I think she is eminently qualified for it.
Out the door by the sounds. He's just like, abolish it. I'm putting you in charge of the department. I want abolished on a federal level.
That's been the other criticism, is that these people are supposedly not qualified for the positions they've been given because they haven't necessarily worked in the sectors that they've been appointed to. But I don't know, our American viewers online may find this concept a little strange. It's the same in the UK, where ministers are appointed from inside the government, as in elected MPs, who often have no experience whatsoever in the portfolio that they're appointed to, let alone any real-life experience whatsoever. We have people who are ministers of health and education and everything else who the only qualification they've ever had is a university degree, and then they've gone off to work in an MP's office. And we're quite happy in Australia and the UK and every other country with a Westminster system of government to say that they should be in charge of departments. But Donald Trump goes and picks some business people, and it's like, holy dolly, how could we possibly let them run the departments?
But for the Democrats to say that Trump's picks are not qualified, the Democratic nominee was not qualified to be vice president, let alone president. She was a black woman. That's why she was given the gig.